Let's continue. Let's get into this. Let's get this legally Streisand here. All right. So this is Nick's drug case. Okay. So in Nick's drug case, you have 4 people involved. You have Aaron, you have April, Kayla, and Nick. Now, we need to focus from evidentiary standpoint. What is relevant? What is relevant between these parties? Well, obviously, Nick owning cocaine is relevant. So, like them having cocaine is relevant. Nick and the ketamine and everything else, that's all relevant. But when they get on the stand, what are they going to be talking about? What are they going to be talking about? Well, relevant for all of them is their use of drugs. So Aaron, April, Kayla, and Nick will all be asked about their use of drugs. Where did they see it? When were they using it? Were the children around? I made this. Wait, who's something? Who made this? I fucking made this. I made this, bitches. I made this in 10 minutes. And this is better than anything that is coming out over there. All right. I like presentations. So drugs is common for all. What are when they talk about the messages between Nick and Aaron? Let's talk about that. The signal between Nick and Aaron. What are they going to be talking about? They're going to be talking about the cocaine skepticism. So Aaron was opposed to Nick using cocaine. So Nick was trying to push Aaron to use cocaine. Also, whoever says it looks like I made it in 10 minutes, fuck you. Tony G, fuck you. I appreciate you though, bro. Thanks for your membership. So they're going to be talking about that. Okay, Nick and April. Well, April was lured into this relationship, like many women, with cocaine. Many people who have no skills with women use cocaine as a currency because they have no actual skills. They can't actually do anything else. They don't have a personality. They don't have the ability to charm anyone, to perhaps offer anything to them of value as a man other than drugs. It's a very common thing. And so this coke as currency between Nick, that's relevant, right? So Nick saying, "Hey, I'll give you a gram if you come over and blow me while I'm streaming," right? That's relevant. That would be relevant as a message between the two, right? Aaron and Kayla, I think Aaron was also pushing back against the cocaine use, but also from what we see here, there might have been ketamine involved, and the ketamine is relevant, right? Because it's a drug, so ketamine is relevant there between these two. And then, April and Kayla, whatever girl talk they had is relevant, but it's only girl talk about drugs. It is not girl talk about anything else but drugs. So if they were scissoring, if they were, whatever they were doing, if they were going to male strip clubs, if they were hiring, male escorts, that's not relevant here. It's only girl talk about drugs. That's what's relevant here. Okay? Now, let's transition. And I'm not talking about the type of transitioning that Jack Murphy did, right? I'm talking about transitioning. Well, he is transitioning into Jack Murphy. So let's actually go over here into the evidence that is relevant for revenge prawn. Okay? Let's talk about what's relevant now. Okay? So now we have Nick, April, and Aaron. Once again, Kayla. So nudes. So now the center of all of this is nudes. So this case is going to involve the nudes that were exchanged amongst all parties. Now, these nudes, mind you, can be exchanged in all of these relationships. So maybe April sent Kayla nudes, maybe Aaron sent private nudes that were not in the group signal, right? Which will be very interesting. Maybe Nick sent nudes to Aaron. Like I said, I imagine there's some broke back shower text, a little bit of tip of the hat to Joshua Moon. Those shower texts. Nobody wants a shower text. Nobody wants a shower text. So maybe there's some like broke back stuff going on there. There's a little bit of speculation that Nick and Aaron, the real fallout was here, not here or anywhere else, that this was the real fallout. Who knows, right? But now this is relevant. If Nick and Aaron were engaged in a side relationship, right? If this was like, that is now relevant. This, mind you, this was not relevant before. It is now relevant to this case because that dynamic within the overall structure of the relationship is now subject to question. And Nick following a false police report, perhaps, who knows, right? So Nick and April, they're mistress exclusive. So the stuff that Nick is just sending to April, because the reason why, and let me just get really clear here, the reason why most of these type of structured open relationships do not generally work is because what happens is that when you have a mistress, so these two are married, but this is the mistress. When you have a mistress, you end up communicating in an intimate way with something emotional or something personal that this person doesn't know about. And what is could be the nuclear bomb for his relationship, and what could really get Kayla to flip, is if during the course of this investigation, these are exposed. So if this mistress exclusive, what Nick is sending to April, if this mistress exclusive stuff is exposed, that can cause real issues here, real substantial issues here. Of course, between April and Kayla, I once again put girl talk, but girl talk now isn't just related to drugs. Anything they're talking about. So when they talk about, for example, Nick's impotency, right? Or Aaron being the best that Kayla ever had, right? Or April not getting an orgasm from Aaron. That's all relevant now. Before that was just laughable stuff. That was just stuff that like Kino Casino would be talking about, over there, PPP and Worski. They'd be, hucking it up about that or other channels, but it wasn't legally relevant. Now that's relevant because it goes to the context of the overall relationship and whether or not there was consent for this, right? Because the relationship dynamic might, through a reasonable person's lens, particularly through Aaron's lens, imply consent. Also, between Aaron and Kayla, all of those text messages trashing Nick, saying he's got whiskey dick, whatever else, that's all relevant too. Because if Aaron and Kayla have texts that kind of show, hey, I want you to do this without Nick. I want you to send it, right? Send it. Don't tell Nick. That's piss him off, right? That often happens as well. All of that can come out, and it has to come out if it goes to trial. Now, there's a more. We're not limited here. What else do we got? Okay, number one, levels of voyeurism, and I'll read number two, which is swinging and cuckolding history. Of course, we have the bull here and the Murphy. For those that don't know, real quick, let's talk about this. Let me go over here because some of you may not know this, so I have to show this for you guys. So some of you may not be aware what is going on with this, and you need a little bit of background. So it was confirmed effectively that Nick went to a resort known as Hedonism 2 by some humble fruit farmers. So here's a photo of Hedonism 2. You see this is an actual wall, and the serif font is there. That's actually what I used for my thumbnail, right? That's a photo from Hedonism 2. This is a known swinging resort, right? Where you go to swing. And Nick followed some staff members from that as well, was exposed on that end. Now, Hedonism 2 and the environment of hedonism too is very voyeuristic. So people are in the public, you're just in the public area having sex. Now, once again, this is something that I always said was irrelevant. It's legally relevant. It's now relevant because somebody who is engaged in open voyeurism or what we call exhibitionism does not have a reasonable expectation of privacy of a nude. If you are engaged in open voyeurism and open exhibitionism, and there's proof of that, and that can be substantiated, right? If Aaron can say, no, she's an exhibitionist, right? Here's proof. Particularly, and this is Hedonism 2. I'm going to show you a little clip. If she was at Hedonism 2 in this situation, let's play this right here.
Hedo's Playroom has a brand new toy. Come check it out with me. Isn't that just glorious?
We'll just leave it right there. So, if while at this resort, they were engaged in this, right? There would be no expectation of privacy, right? You would not be able to say, hey, I thought this was private, right? It's a relevant fact. Once again, a relevant fact. It wasn't before. Didn't need to come out. Didn't need to be talked about. It's whatever, right? But now it's gone from, oh, we could talk about that. Because if Aaron explains, during the course of our relationship, she talked about doing all these things. She talked about being open and doing this open-minded. And by the way, oh, sorry, I forgot to show the photo. I had to edit it. This is the confirmation photo. So I added a little bit of emphasis here. But obviously, you see the photo here. And if you see the serifing on the font, you can see this is the hedonism logo on the bottom. Clearly the same area. I added the Baldo for emphasis here, right? But obviously she has very identifiable tattoos. And I censored it because I want to be YouTube friendly here. I want to be YouTube friendly. So this is YouTube friendly. It censors out the badonkadonk or lack thereof on both, right? But if they are engaged in this level of voyeurism and they're open about it and they share these photos, they put this out here, right? Then do they have a reasonable expectation of privacy? That's a very fair question legally. And you're going to say you're going to put your wife on the stand and your wife is going to have to talk about your level of voyeurism. Your mistress is going to have to talk about that. And you're going to have to kind of go to your audience and be like, well, but like Solomon though, like David though, like I'm going Old Testament with it. Really crazy. And beyond that, let's get back to this here. We have to talk about, and it becomes relevant, whether they've had a history of this, because they've been known to try to engage other people. It's been well known, I'm not going to say who, but there's other content creators they've tried to engage in this, right? And then beyond that, also there's issue with solicitation. If either one of them is out there soliciting, right? That's relevant. How about the people that they are engaging with, and either they're swinging or cuckolding history? How about the staff at Hedonism 2? How about the individuals that may be in the Milwaukee area that may have been hired? Is there a history there? That's relevant as well. Also, okay, the Baldo, I'm going to be clear, not as relevant, but is there a probability in this hearing that the Baldo could come up as a topic? Yes. Of course it could. Saying, well, Nick was very open about his sexuality, including talking about the Baldo, right? Nick and Kayla, right? And creating an environment and a show that has dozens, if not hundreds of shows in which they were very comfortable both sharing nudes on their locals and talking about that sort of stuff, very open with it, like kind of we don't care. If that created an environment, you could say, well, I reasonably could expect they didn't care, that she didn't care, that it was all right. She didn't care about that, topless, whatever. That was open because they were open on all these topics. These are questions that were brought. And were they brought by Aaron Imholte? No, they were brought by Nick Rekieta. And only by Nick and Kayla, right? Because obviously Kayla's the one that reported it. But let's not pretend that Kayla wasn't doing this at the direction of Nick. Let's not pretend that Kayla was doing this without consulting with her husband at all. And let's not pretend that Nick didn't talk to the police, because that's what the report says. All right, let's get to these chats. Give me one Legal Mindset membership. Thank you so much.